Hi there, I'm Karen Owoc, and welcome to Toastmaster Time, the show that has everybody talking. Here at Toastmaster Time, we run our show just like a regular Toastmaster Club meeting. We have guest speakers, and we have an evaluator. And tonight, we have our own very seasoned evaluator. Please help me welcome Ashley Harkness. Welcome, Ashley. Give us a little peek into what we can expect to see and hear tonight.
Certainly, Karen. We have two experienced Toastmasters from a local club. We have Becky Duret and Karen Mudd. They're both going to be presenting the number 10 speech from the Competent Communicator Manual. This is a speech about inspiring your audience, and I'm sure we're in for a rare and wonderful treat with their presentations.
Well, thank you, Ashley. It's going to be fun working with you again tonight. Our first guest speaker is from Chamber Chatters in Pleasanton, California. She's been a Toastmaster for 3 years. Please help me welcome Becky Duret. Welcome, Becky.
Thank you, Karen. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, me too. So I understand you've had a role in your particular club. Tell us about that.
For the last 2 terms, I was president of Chamber Chatters.
And how did that go?
It was one of the best things I've ever done.
And why is that?
Because I learned not only about how to lead, the mechanics of leading a group, but I learned about myself. I learned what kind of leader I am and how I lead best. And I also learned, I already knew that Chamber Chatters was an amazing group of fun, supportive people, but when I became president, that's when I truly realized how much the club members care and how much they do for the club. Oh, it was a joy. I loved it.
Oh, interesting. So did you have to work your way up to president?
No. I actually, being president was my first officer role.
Oh, my.
I learned a ton.
Oh, interesting. Well, sounds like you had a very great experience. So tell me a little bit about how you came up with the topic that you're going to be speaking about tonight.
This speech originated when I was visiting another Pleasanton club, the Pleasanton Community Club. They had a special event where there were no pre-assigned roles. They passed around a hat and we each chose a role. My role was speaker number 1. So I had about 30 seconds to come up with a 7-minute speech. I thought to myself, what has happened recently that really inspired me? That just woke me up and shook me up a little bit and made me see things a little differently. That's what this speech is about.
Wow, it sounds very interesting. I can't wait to hear it. Are you ready to give it?
I sure am.
All right, well, I'll give you a minute to set up, and I'm going to tell our audience a little bit about manual speeches. Thank you. The Toastmasters program consists of a variety of speech manuals, and each manual has its own set of speeches, about 5 to 10 speeches per manual, and each speech has its own set of objectives. And back with me is Ashley Harkness, who's going to go over Becky's objectives and to evaluate her speech. Welcome, Ashley.
Well, thank you very much, Karen.
So tell us a little bit about what we can expect tonight.
The number 10 speech is a culmination of all the skills that have been learned and brought forward in the Competent Communicator Manual. This is number 10. It's a speech about inspiring your audience, which means there are 3 elements. One thing is to communicate with the audience and get them involved in it. Another one is to talk about the status quo and how your life changed, literally. And then finally, the inspiration. How they develop these particular themes into their speech is what we'll be looking for.
Great. I love this speech. It's really, like you said, it's the culmination of all the speeches.
Brings everything together.
Yes, it does. I'd like to present our first speaker, Becky Duret, with the most important movement.
Keep your eyes open. Keep your hands open. Keep your heart open. My fellow Toastmasters, as you walk through life, I want you to keep your eyes, your hand, and your heart open, because you never know when life will surprise you with the one lesson you really need to learn. Watch for it. And when you see it, grab onto it. Then embrace it wholeheartedly and see how it changes your life. Recently, life surprised me with one of her lessons. It was at the District 57 Spring Conference back in May of 2013. This was my first conference, and it was everything I expected it to be. Oh, I laughed, I cheered, I learned. But what I never expected to learn that day was how to stand. Does that surprise you? It surprised me. Clearly, I know how to stand. As a matter of fact, after 20 years of dance, I'm well trained in the art of standing and movement. That is, choreographed movement. But that's not public speaking. Oh no. Public speaking was scary. Public speaking was hard. I could twirl and leap across the stage. But when I had to speak, I felt like I was tripping over my own words. And what do you do with those hands when you don't have choreography to help you? Thanks to Toastmasters and a lot of practice, I got more comfortable. But there was always something that bothered me, always something that felt just a little bit awkward about the way I moved when I was speaking. I knew what I wanted. I wanted to get up in front of people and have speaking feel strong and beautiful and elegant, just like a dance. I just didn't know how to get there. Back to the District 57 conference, and the man who taught me how to stand. His name is Ed Tate. Perhaps you've heard of him. Ed Tate is a professional speaker and a distinguished Toastmaster. In the year 2000, Ed Tate won the highest Toastmaster Award, World Champion Public Speaker. Oh yeah, Ed Tate was that good. When Ed Tate walked up on stage, he got my attention. And then he did something that frankly surprised me. He walked to the front of the stage and he didn't start talking immediately. He stood, hands at his side, and he looked out at the audience. And he smiled at us, as if to say, there is no place I would rather be than right here, right now, talking with all of you. Oh, I was hooked. The whole audience was hooked. His speech was as good as we expected and better. But what I really noticed was the way Ed moved. And it wasn't just the movements. It was the pauses in between the movements, especially those pauses when he would stop and reconnect with us in the audience. That's it, I said. That's my lesson today. That's what I need to learn, how to move. I promised myself I would learn how to do it. Oh, I didn't know how, but I knew I was going to. Turns out, life surprised me again, and I got the opportunity to keep that promise about an hour later. I was standing watching some awards being presented up on stage. I was standing in the back of the room, and I looked over, and who should walk in but Ed Tate? That's Ed Tate. I should walk over and stand next to him and practice. Okay, I'll admit, that seemed a little bit crazy. But fortunately for me, by then my heart had already embraced the idea before my brain got in the way. And before I knew it, I was up and I was walking over and I was standing with Ed Tate, practicing. When something like this, body centered, upright but relaxed, arms relaxed into your side. This is the important part. Your eyes focused on the stage or on your audience. Not just looking at them, but truly seeing them and engaging with them. That's what Ed Tate was doing. That's what I did. And then my heart really embraced the lesson that day. You see, I had been so worried about learning how to move that I almost missed the most important lesson. Don't move. Just stand. Stand for a minute and appreciate what we're really doing here. We're communicating. And that communication starts with me taking a deep breath and saying, truly, there is no place I'd rather be but right here, right now, talking with you. I never expected to learn how to stand that day. I never expected to learn that sometimes no movement is the best movement of all. But life is like that. That's why, my fellow Toastmasters, I'd like you to walk through life with me, our eyes open, our hands open, our hearts open. Let's see what lessons life can surprise us with.
Well, Ashley, you're taking lots of notes.
Oh, yes, absolutely. That's what an evaluator does.
So how did Becky do against her objectives?
Well, part of the objectives I said earlier was to connect with the audience, and her mechanism for connection was to talk about surprises in life and how that they could bring you common themes. Her common theme was keep open to life to be surprised, and she then talked about one lesson that she had learned. As far as changing the status quo, it was clear that she was, in her speech, she was uncertain about what to do with standing and being in the right position. And that was what she went looking for a change and found it with Ed Tate's presentation. She came up with specific new techniques to use. So I think that she hit that right on the nose. As far as the inspiration, this is another form of inspiration where she makes herself the model of the inspiration. What happened to me? I saw this, I did this. She said, I stood there and appreciated it. She never expected to learn, but she did. And in fact, at the end, her message to the audience is, walk with me, keep your heart, your mind open, and you too will find this yourself. So I think she hit all the points very well.
Yeah, I did too. And I love her stories. I mean, that's one of the key ways to draw people into your speech, and I thought she did a great job. She has a great command of in her presence. So, very good. Thank you very much, Ashley.
Sure.
Well, coming up next, you'll learn how to overcome your fear of public speaking and how you can use it to help others. So don't go away. We'll be right back after the break.
Name an effective political leader in history who couldn't speak well.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
There aren't any.
Because when it comes to a disease,
Freedom requires leadership, and leadership requires oratory. You have to speak to be heard.
I have a dream.
It's all about personal growth and guts.
Never give in. Never, never, never.
Welcome back to Toastmaster Time, the show that has everybody talking. Our next guest speaker is from Chamber Chatters in Pleasanton, California, and she's been a Toastmaster for 5 years. Please help me welcome Karen Mudd. Welcome, Karen.
Hi there.
I love your dress, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about your experience in Toastmasters.
It's been one of the best things I have done as an adult, and I tell people that all the time. It was a lot more surprising outcomes from the people that you become friends with to the support that you earn and learn from performing, the encouragement you get, coaching you get, and then also what you receive from listening to so many speeches.
Oh, that's right. That's a very good point. And what made you go to Toastmasters in the first place?
I took on a new position at the hospital, and I decided it was time for me to sharpen up my skills and become a Toastmaster.
Great. And then what inspired you to give the speech that you're going to be giving tonight?
It's a push goal. Wanted to share with folks one of my passions.
Well, I can't wait to hear it, as well as everybody else. So are you ready to give your speech?
I am.
All right. I'll give you a moment to set up.
Thank you.
Remember, you're not alone if you have a fear of public speaking. There are over 250,000 Toastmasters that share your fear. There are over 10,000 clubs in the world and many fun and interesting clubs to choose from. Now, back with me to evaluate Karen's speech is Ashley Harkness. Would you tell us a little bit about what Karen's going to be trying to achieve tonight?
Well, yes, Karen's going to be working with the inspirational speech number 10. Its key point is to connect with the audience, to share a value with them. I think we're going to see that. And then there's another part of it is changing the status quo. How did this particular thing change your life? And finally, the inspiration that she drew from that.
So they're both speaking from the same project in the manual.
Yes, but I think we're going to see something very different here.
Okay.
And I think the approaches will be not only complementary, but also inspiring.
Very good. Well, thank you, Ashley. Please help me welcome our next guest speaker, Karen Mudd, with Spreading the Word to Help Others.
My dad would say to me sometimes, "You know, Karen, if you could see your life in 5 years, you'd be surprised. In 10 years, you'd be amazed." I said, "Okay, Dad." Well, as it turns out, he was right. I never imagined that I would feel the competence to stand up in front of a group and speak, whether it's a group of 20 of my colleagues, a group of board of directors, volunteers, much less, hundreds of people as I MC different events. Not me. I never thought that I could do that. Because of Toastmasters, I do that with ease, with enjoyment. I love speaking. I love to inspire, and I also love to help others. Passionate about healthcare and about well-being, I share a wonderful foundation that helps cancer patients. I speak to groups such as Rotary, Seroptimus, as well as individuals sharing about what healing therapies can do when folks with cancer are dealing with side effects from chemotherapy and radiation. Cancer is a debilitating disease. The treatments from the side effects from the treatments, they're awful. Sometimes the worst feelings in your life. Healing therapies can help people get through those times. You see, I lost 3 people to cancer. My mom's battle was the worst. She suffered severe back pain, and it was weeks before she was diagnosed with cancer. They found a large tumor lodged in the back of her spine. As soon as they found out, they brought her through chemotherapy, and it didn't take long for her to experience some of those harsh side effects. She couldn't get out of bed. She couldn't keep any food down. She was nauseous. It was awful. What's even worse is later on we'd find out that my mother would actually moan from her bed. We didn't find that out until she was admitted to the hospital and put on morphine, and she passed away. And we heard stories from neighbors about the pain that she went through at night, and she wouldn't share it with us. Had I known that healing therapies that could have helped her through some of the worst days of her life, I would have went out and have done that. I would have taken her to get a therapeutic massage. I'd taken her to get acupuncture or acupressure. I would have done anything to help her in those last days. And now that I know that those healing therapies, proven to help people deal with comfort, feel more comfortable, and just deal with the stress, I want everyone to know that if anyone that they know is dealing with cancer, going through radiation, or chemotherapy, that there is help. That they can go and get a therapeutic massage, acupuncture, acupressure, guided imagery, meditation. They can get those. The relief that they bring. And what I want to do is I want everyone to know that healing therapies work. So I go and speak to different groups. I go and speak to different groups. And I spread the word because I'm passionate about health. I'm passionate about the well-being of others. And I'm passionate to spread the word because I'm a volunteer spokesperson for the Sandra J. Wing Healing Therapies Foundation. If you told me 10 years ago that I would be a volunteer spokesperson for anyone, I would say no way. No way. But because of Toastmasters, I was able to do that. I joined Toastmasters originally to improve my skills as I moved up the management ladder. And what I found was that I found a new passion, and it was speaking. And I have another passion, spreading the word to help others. And I get to do that. And I will continue to do that. And it's all because of Toastmasters. Thank you, Toastmasters.
Very nice speech. How did she do against her objectives, Ashley?
First item that we need to be looking at is how well did she connect to the audience? Mm-hmm. And this comes from the fact that, first of all, she uses her father who tells her about, you can't expect that you won't have changed the next 4 or 5 years. And that becomes a predominant theme through the entire speech. So this is also a common thing that happens with families, and we all have shared that. So then she starts talking about something that's passionate in her life, and that is healthcare and cancer in real-life situations. Now this leads to the changing of the status quo. Although she didn't say it, in fact, what she was giving us was a story about how her mother had gone through the traditional medical practices, and it was only after some time when she was really in bad shape that Karen realized that there were proven techniques of another side to medicine, and these are the therapeutic processes that she was talking about. Mm-hmm. The change is moving from one part of it, the medicine, to understand that there's more. There's more that's available. And finally, the inspiration she has was she found her voice. Yes. She had no voice to begin with, and she learned that she could go anywhere and speak about this. This is an empowerment that comes from passion, and it brings us to the whole point of her speech, which is to spread the word and to say, listen, this is what you can do too. That's basically it. So hitting all the 3 points, right on target.
Right on target too. I agree. Very inspirational.
Yes.
Thanks again, Ashley, for a great evaluation. Well, we have to take a very short break, so don't go away. We're going to be right back.
Name an effective political leader in history who couldn't speak well.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
There aren't any.
Because when it comes to a disease,
Freedom requires leadership, and leadership requires oratory. You have to speak to be heard.
I have a dream.
It's all about personal growth and guts.
Never give in. Never, never, never.
Welcome back to Toastmaster Time, the show that has everybody talking. Well, we just heard 2 wonderful speeches.
Yes.
Ashley, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Absolutely. In the inspirational speech, as I alluded to in the beginning, I thought we were going to see 2 different kinds of approaches to being an inspirational speech, and we did. We saw Becky's presentation where she talked about the surprise of going someplace and having moved from one position in her life to another in a physical movement. This was inspiring to her and said, everybody can do this. Come walk with me because we'll all move along together. And in Karen's speech, we heard her connecting with the audience with a real-life situation, but also seeing how it brought her a change in the status quo from a thinking position rather than a movement physical position, but a thinking position of how to approach traditional medicine and the help that therapeutic practices can help. So what we have is two different viewpoints on how to inspire people with two entirely different kinds of connected to the audience issues.
Right. It's kind of like the Iron Chef, where you're giving one ingredient and you have to come up with two totally different dishes.
Yes, you do. Yeah. Fortunately, though, we don't have such severe judges.
Yeah.
And we can afford to taste and realize that it's all really good. Yeah, the presentations were well done. They reflected the passion of the speaker, which is a critical element to connecting with the audience.
Very much so. Now, both, I'd have to say both of them, Becky, very strong presence. Same with Karen.
Yes, I think that's reflected in their life experiences, which is what an inspirational speech is about.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to have that command of the audience in order to get them inspired and love their stories. Both of them had wonderful stories.
They all have to, the presentation has to have meaning for the audience, or it isn't inspiring.
Yes,
because the key is moving the audience from one thought process to another, and this is the growth.
So anything you would offer to improve?
Well, I would say this, that Becky talked that she likes to dance.
Yeah.
And I thought that might be fun to see. And I'm not so sure whether we have time for that, but, and Karen was talking about some of the medicines, therapeutic massages. Maybe she could have come over and given me one. That would have worked.
Well, thank you, Ashley. It was great working with you once again, and I really enjoyed your evaluations.
Thank you, Karen.
Well, if you live in the Bay Area or plan to visit sometime soon and you'd like to come visit us here at Toastmaster Time, please contact us through our website at toastmastertime.com. And if you'd like to find out about some Toastmaster activities, you can go to our district website at tm57d57.org. Now, there are Toastmasters clubs around the world. If you'd like to find one where you are, there you could go to our international Toastmasters website at toastmasters.org. Well, that's our show for tonight. I'd like to thank our two guest speakers, Karen Mudd and Becky Duret, our evaluator, Ashley Harkness, and our wonderful crew here at the Media Center. From all of us here at Toastmaster Time, I'm Karen Owoc, inviting you to speak up and join Toastmasters.